In recent weeks, multiple high-ranking figures connected with the Russian military have been detained. The latest is Deputy Head of the General Staff, Vadim Shamarin, who on May 23rd was picked up on suspicions that he had accepted bribes of a particularly egregious nature. What's behind this purge and who has been affected? The insider explains. What we're talking about is a political purge of the Ministry of Defense. That is, the FSB is taking out those who are, or who seem to them to be, disloyal. It all started on April 24th with the arrest of Timur Ivanov, a longtime deputy to recently removed Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. According to the insider's confidential FSB source, Shoigu had provided Ivanov with special armed guards in order to protect him from Russian law enforcement. And for several months, the FSB had been unable to get close to the deputy minister. Then their chance came. During a routine health checkup, officers arrested Ivanov while he was alone in the doctor's office. Then, they led him out the back door of the hospital, evading his armed guards. After Ivanov's arrest, Shoigu did not remain in his post for long. According to multiple experts, Shoigu had long been at odds with the FSB, and the arrest of his deputy did little to add to the recently reshuffled minister's standing.
Новым министром обороны назначен Белоусов Андрей Ремович.
Economist Andrei Belousov has succeeded Shoigu. His task will be to oversee the ever-increasing funds allocated for Russia's war effort. Military operations themselves, the Kremlin has claimed, will continue to be managed by General Valery Gerasimov and the rest of the general staff. According to Putin Press Secretary Dmitry Peskov, no purge is planned in that department. This appointment will in no way change the current system of coordinates. The military component has always been the prerogative of the Chief of the General Staff. He will continue his activities. No changes are currently envisioned in this regard. Nevertheless, it appears that the purge in the Defense Ministry has only just begun.
Все ненужное, вредное и все, что нам мешает идти вперед, будет отторгнуто.
On May 13th, Yuri Kuznetsov, head of the Defense Ministry's personnel department, was sent to jail. Like Ivanov, Kuznetsov is suspected of taking bribes. But while Ivanov's bribes amounted to more than 1 billion rubles, Kuznetsov's figure was only 30 million. And yet, during a search of Kuznetsov's apartment, investigators found 100 million rubles in cash. He faces 8 to 15 years in prison. Mikhail Sava has an idea as to why. I would like to emphasize that we are not talking about any rational, positive motives. For example, we are not talking about cleaning out people who are involved in corruption at the Ministry of Defense. Rather, a political task is being solved, namely, the establishment of full control by the FSB over the Ministry of Defense. The next to be arrested was the former commander of the 58th Army of the Russian Armed Forces, Major General Popov.
Что касается самого генерального штаба и всей структуры, которая обеспечивает боевую работу, здесь никаких изменений нет и не планируется. Хочу, чтобы это было всем понятно.
But despite Putin's announcement of May 15th, the aforementioned arrest of Gerasimov deputy Vadim Shamarin occurred on May 23rd. Shamarin was heavily criticized during the initial stages of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as poor planning in the area of communications proved to be one of the Russian army's main problems. Shamarin had presided over the purchase of expensive yet inefficient systems. On the ground, Russian soldiers complained that they couldn't reach their comrades, leading to several friendly fire incidents involving artillery. Aside from Ivanov, Shoigu's former deputies have not been arrested. Instead, many of them are voluntarily resigning. The first to do so were Alexei Krivoruchko and Ruslan Salikov, stepping down a week before Shoigu's removal on May 12th. Following their lead, Shoigu's deputy for financial affairs, Tatyana Shevtsova, also reportedly resigned, though this information is yet to be officially confirmed. All three figures have been the subject of corruption investigations. Journalists previously revealed that Krivoruchko has real estate in the United States, while his children hold American citizenship. Salikov was found to own real estate worth over $40 million. Shevtsova did not hide her wealth, holding lavish birthday parties. I do not rule out that Ruslan Salikov will still be arrested, since he is a person very, very close to Shoigu. They have been together since Shoigu's days at the Ministry of Emergency Situations. Then, they worked together for the short time Shoigu was governor of the Moscow region. That is, Salikov follows Shoigu everywhere. His resignation was absolutely inevitable, but this is still a figure whom Shoigu personally protects. Yet, despite the obvious, the Kremlin continues to deny that it's purging the defense ministry. The fight against corruption is a constant effort. It is not a campaign. This is an integral part of the activities of our law enforcement agencies. We can say that none of this is finished yet. People from the Ministry of Defense who are currently detained will testify, and that will include giving testimony against their former boss. Therefore, I do not rule out a rather long behind-the-scenes struggle, one in which, in the end, the security services could convince Putin that it is necessary to detain Shoigu after all. It is possible that this will happen, but this will be a real struggle because Shoigu is a man who has spent his entire life trading not in ability, but in loyalty. He is quite close to Putin, and this reality is a very significant factor.